Hi everyone, Karen here from Dogs Love. I wanted to make a little video today to help you understand why my method is so successful and also to clear up some commonly misunderstood things in the dog training world around the dog psychology. So let's start with the science. What we know about dogs is that they are 99.96% the same DNA as wolves. So, in order to understand how dogs think, their instincts, how they operate, how we communicate with them, we need to understand how the wolf pack operates. So, this lends itself to the discussion around leadership, which is one of the particular things I wanted to sort of get into. So, with the wolves, yes, they are pack animals and they have leaders and followers. It's just like a human family, it's usually mum and dad at the top and then litters and parts thereof down below. Now, the wolves are very clever, so they can coordinate their hunts and they work together. It's not a free-for-all. So in order for that to work, you have to have good leaders and willing followers. So in the dog world, you're either the leader or you're a willing follower, and your job is to please the leader. Now, the problems that have sort of come about in the misunderstandings here is actually based on an experiment done back in the 1940s, where they put a bunch of wolves together. They were all from all different families and packs, and they put them in an enclosure that was too small. And what they saw was a lot of dominance and aggression. But observing the wolves in that way is trying to understand humans by watching Big Brother. It's just that not their natural environment. But unfortunately, a whole load of training techniques came out of this badly designed experiment where we use force and domination and scare our dog into obeying us, basically. And then what we've said, well, we don't like that. So there was a bunch of trainers that came along and said, let's just use positive reinforcement. And this is a term from educational psychology where we reward the behaviour that we want repeated. But what we've missed here is that dogs do need leaders. But that old school of yank and crank style training, they went about establishing leadership the wrong way because of this badly designed experiment. So what my method is based on is when you observe the wolves in their natural environment, you see that there's specific situations where the leaders behave differently from the followers. And it's these leadership behaviours that we can put in place as humans to convince our dogs that we're in charge. And the dogs really want us to be in charge because, believe me, they do not want to be in charge in the human world. Typical example, a lot of little dogs, all those yappy dogs that everyone hates, these little dogs are behaving in this way. And if they were a big dog, that behaviour would have had to have been addressed. But because they're little and they're not causing much damage, the behaviours don't get addressed. The poor little dogs think that they're in charge because we're giving them all the wrong messages about who's in charge. And those little dogs are really stressed out. So imagine if you were thrown into the wilderness and told to look after a pack of wolves. How would you feel? Well, I don't know how to hunt. I don't know how to find water. I'd be pretty stressed out. So our dogs definitely don't want to be in charge. They want us to be in charge. So while some people are saying that the whole leadership and alpha thing has been debunked, what's actually been debunked is the way that we establish leadership by using force and aggression and fear and dominance. That's not how the wolves operate. The wolves are actually very kind and gentle to their pack members. And the dominance aggression is what you see is the exception rather than the rule. When a wolf pup is bugging mum and mum's got jobs to do, she's always on alert because she's a leader, she doesn't immediately go, rah, 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 rah. You know, that's the last sort of step the wolves go to. They're actually very gentle. The first subtle thing they'll do is they'll just ignore it. They might get up and walk away. They might, sort of give them a look, or maybe an air snap, but they'll use the kindest method they can to communicate to the puppy, don't bother me right now. And that's how the techniques that I show you work. So I hope that's cleared things up a little bit. You'll see anyone that's had more than one dog in a family will have observed that they do establish one's above the other. So they absolutely do have a hierarchy. But the way that we achieve that, the way that we become leaders in the dog world, is to look at those very specific behaviors, and they've got nothing to do with telling your dog off or telling it to sit or anything like that. It's far more subtle, and it's completely kind and gentle, and I'd love to share them with you. But these things are how I make my living, and I love to help people and dogs. So if you've got a problem dog, or you want to understand just a bit more about dog psychology, I'm happy to talk to you for free on the phone. But I really wanted to make it clear that we don't achieve leadership by being dominant and aggressive and forceful with our dogs. We achieve it in a very kind and gentle way. But make no mistake, it is absolutely essential that our dogs have a human leader that is kind and gentle and that understand the human world and that know how to communicate with our dogs in their language. I hope you've enjoyed that, everyone. Get in touch if you have some questions.